Good day, folks. Welcome back to Macklaw. Today, in studio, we've got the real Mack. And he's bringing a very important issue. Data must fall. Mack, give us the lowdown.
Thank you, Riaan. Glad to be back on the show. Data must fall. I'm sure I'm speaking for a lot of people out there. Data must fall. It's shit. To get to the point, Riaan, the availability of data is there, but it's a lot of money. And with Mackworld, which is an online media platform, a lot of people need to watch it, but they can't watch it because they can't afford data. So the accessibility of it is actually the problem.
Absolutely. Mack, you've hit the nail straight on the head. Let's get straight into the law. Our constitution, we start there every week. It says that everyone has the right to access to information. Right? That the state holds, number one, and number two, that any other party besides the state holds that affects other people's rights. And subsection 2 of section 32 is very important here. It says that national legislation must be enacted to give effect to those rights. And furthermore, it says that that legislation may alleviate the state from the financial as well as the administrative burden. Right? So seemingly, we look at the fact that that has been dealt with. The state, through the Government Gazette, through its online media pages, Department of Justice and Constitutional Development's web pages, has made it accessible. However, the law is clear. It needs to be accessible. However, the interpretation with the word accessible or the definition thereof is what I believe is in dispute here.
Sorry, Riaan, what is the Government Gazette?
Government Gazette, sorry, apologies. I'm so glad you asked that question because I find that about 80% of our population does not know what the Government Gazette is.
I don't know what it is.
The Government Gazette is the most important newspaper that this country will ever have. It is the platform whereby the legislator, which is Parliament, National Parliament, communicates with its subjects, the citizens of South Africa. So we put them in power, we put them there to represent us, and what they do is when they intend to promulgate a law or create a law, they create it, it's in a bill form, so which means it is prepared. However, it's not law yet. Now, before it becomes law, one of the phases it needs to go through is public participation, public involvement. Now, section 59 of our constitution says that the state or parliament must facilitate public involvement in the initiation of legislation or a bill or the process of creating a legislation.
So basically, before they put a bill out, they need my participation.
Your participation, absolutely correct. But now, section 32 of our constitution speaks of accessibility. Right? Now, what does accessibility mean? The Oxford Dictionary is clear. It says that when something is accessible, it is in your reach.
Yes.
You can grab it, irrespective. Right? So, I believe that putting out a monthly circular of a hard copy Government Gazette and also creating such intended laws on the webpage haphazardly or randomly or sporadically, that creates a sense of availability. But availability is by no means synonymous with accessibility.
Like a Ferrari is available, but not a lot of people can afford it.
Therefore, we can't access it.
But if Ferraris was accessible, I would be driving in one today.
Absolutely, and Ferrari would lose its value. But here we're not dealing with a marketing strategy.
Yes,
we are dealing with a constitutionally mandated duty of the state to actually make it accessible, number one, state information, and number two, to have Parliament's legislative processes available and accessible to public so that they can facilitate public involvement, so they can get the public's views and opinions on intended laws that they are going to make. Now, they cannot make laws sitting in a chamber or in the National House of Assemblies and the people out on the street. These laws are going to affect, liquor license will affect business owners, restaurant owners, gun laws will affect private people on farms, whatever the case may be. So they need their participation to actually give an informed view of how this law should be regulated and actually promulgated in terms of bettering society.
Yeah.
And if they don't do that, then they are failing their constitutional mandate.
Because what is the percentage of the public participation to the Government Gazette?
It's exactly the same percentage of people who knows about the Government Gazette. So if people don't know about it, how can they publicly participate? How can they publicly involve and make their opinions, express their opinions to the state?
It's so hard to actually get on the net because you have to buy data. Where we actually should comment. They should reach out to us instead of us reaching out to them.
Correct, and that's what Mackworld, through initiatives like Macklaw and other initiatives that we do, we create that platform.
Yeah,
but it's
definitely.
ironic because the platform's created, but data's so expensive people can't access it.
Can't access
We have to use an international app, YouTube, to actually promote things that's going on here, where there's no actual national thing to say. Let's be proud. Let's get a unified nation. Let's unify this diverse cultures that we have here in one voice, telling our parliament what we want.
Online education is now a big thing.
Crucial. You know, education, I mean, fees must fall was a big spillover now, not too long ago.
Yeah.
And this is the type of things that will actually make or culminate into a harmonious structure. Data must fall, fees must fall. If data must fall, fees won't be a big problem. Because, I mean, open distance learning institutions like the University of South Africa, they give very, very cheap rates.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the people are failing because they can't get access to the information they need to pass their modules.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And you remember, I'd just like to close off by saying that it is not the public's duty to actually go to the state and say, listen, we have an interest in what you are portraying or what you're intending to put into law. It is the state's duty, the legislative and the executive's duty to actually facilitate public involvement. Now, how do you facilitate? Think out of the box. Create an app. Create a government app, create a parliament app to say, listen here, guys, if you want free 100 megs a day, you must first subscribe through our page. Doing that with no data will succumb to the fact that people will see their page, and therefore they have done their part in facilitating public involvement. You know, and the data must fall is the catalyst in allowing Parliament to fulfill their constitutional mandated duty.
And I think that is a good first step to help us to actually get data to fall. Yes, online is where it is. Data must fall. I stand with this because I want everybody to check out Mackworld because it is very informative to the people and it's proper content.
Absolutely. And I'd just like to end by saying that everybody has their own personal reasons why data must fall. However, what we've explained on Macklaw today is a legal remedy in making government of the day realize that data must fall so that you can access the information that's held by the state, publicly involve yourself in the lawmaking process, and therefore being able to use the rest or the balance of the free data cap per day to do whatever you need to do, which we must do in the betterment of our society. Catch us next week. We will be discussing more controversial issues.